Hey everyone, welcome to Turkish series stars. All the details are in our video, so make sure you're subscribed and share this with a friend who follows every twist in our favorite actors' lives. Now let's get into it, because what just surfaced has the entire industry buzzing. Actress Sinem Ünsal, who has stayed remarkably quiet amid relentless whispers about her private world, has suddenly stepped into the spotlight with revelations no one saw coming. For months she avoided public talk of her heart, her attention fixed on work and appearances, her smile composed, her interviews careful. Yet behind closed doors, people close to her say the dam finally broke. The change wasn't loud, it was raw, tender, and startlingly honest. After years of skirting around questions, Sinem opened up, truly opened up, about Ozanek Baba, the man who has hovered at the edges of her story, the name that never quite left the room. According to those who heard it firsthand, Sinem's voice trembled but stayed steady enough to be unmistakable. She didn't dress it up. She didn't offer a script. She reached for a simple truth that felt heavier than any headline. Time had not erased anything, it had deepened everything. Time has been my strictest teacher, she reportedly confided. When you think you've moved on, it shows you what you actually carry. I miss him. I want Ozan to be in my life again. It was a declaration that slid past the armor she's worn for years, and for a moment, all the talk and noise fell away. There it was. An admission, uncluttered, undeniable. The confession sent a tremor through her circle first. People who had watched her put career first, who had witnessed her change the subject when the past crept in, suddenly found themselves hearing the words they never thought she'd say. There were teary eyes, hushed rooms, and a stunned stillness. And then, like all intimate news in this world, it slipped beyond the apartment doors and private meetings and drifted toward the bright, relentless light of the internet. The reaction was immediate. Fans who once called Sinem and Ozan the pair that made the screen glow, the duo whose looks could hold a scene still, felt a spark of something they hadn't let themselves feel in a long time. Memories flooded social media. Old clips, behind-the-scenes laughter, interviews with lingering glances. The feed turned into a living archive of their shared moments, with one question repeating beneath it all: could that magic return? Between the cheers came caution. Some observers remembered that love stories don't just float, they carry history. They reminded everyone that stepping back into something familiar can be the bravest and the most difficult move a person makes. But even those cautioning restraint couldn't deny it, the story had shifted. A door once shut, even politely, seemed to be edging open. A friend of Sinem, someone who has watched her hold herself together on difficult days, offered a window into what changed. She's done protecting everyone else from her feelings, this person shared quietly. She believes there's a chapter that never made it to print. She's ready to revisit what got left behind. Another confidant put it even more directly: Sinem wants to follow her heart. That's the beginning and the end of it. As her words rolled across the industry, attention swung like a spotlight to Ozanek Baba. The man known for playing steel with a heartbeat, who can turn a single look into a monologue, had not answered any of it, not in an interview, not in a post, not through a manager's statement. He was working, appearing calm, acting as though the world was not holding its breath for him. But even silence speaks. And everyone listened. That silence didn't stop the whispers. In the shadows of sets and offices and weekend dinners, the same rumor kept surfacing: a meeting was in the works. Not an orchestrated event, not a public play, something simple, private, and soon. A coffee, a walk, a conversation without cameras. If it happened, insiders insisted, that would be the moment everything either returned to the shelf or found a way forward. Fans felt the calendar turn more slowly. They dissected micro-expressions, schedules, the timing of stories. They asked each other if the reunion they dared to dream about was finally stepping into the daylight. Some had waited years to feel this hopeful, while others prepared themselves for the relief of closure, whichever way the story leaned. But everyone agreed on one thing: something about this time felt different. Sinem's statement didn't only reshape a love story, it shifted her career narrative, too. For years, audiences embraced her as composed and determined, the kind of woman who races toward a set call with full focus and who shrugs off the gossip pages as if they were a minor inconvenience. Her roles reflected that strength, and people admired her for it. But there's another side to strength, and she showed it now, the courage to be vulnerable. To say, in front of all of us, that her heart missed someone. It wasn't a strategy. It wasn't a press move. It was unmistakably human. Those who have worked with her say they've seen traces of this shift for a while. The days she wandered off between scenes, head tilted, eyes miles away. The moments she studied her phone as if it contained a riddle she was ready to finally solve. One co-star, asked off the record, described it gently: sometimes, in the quiet between takes, you can tell her mind is not on the set. It's somewhere she once felt at home. I think she's still working her way back from his absence. The comment wasn't cruel. It was the kind of understanding that comes from standing beside someone under the same lights. Ozan's side remains sealed, but people close to him say he must have been caught off guard. Maybe he expected the past to stay folded. Maybe he thought time would tidy what it didn't fix. Maybe he just needed a moment to understand what the confession asked of him. Silence can mean many things. It can be a boundary. It can be a bridge. It can be the inhale before you finally speak. In this case, it feels like the calm before a decision with consequences, not only for two people, but for the entire story that swirls around them. And then came another wave, talk of a project. The word same set started floating around meetings and DMs and fan accounts. The idea was intoxicating in its simplicity: Sinem and Ozan, side by side in a new script. Would it be a drama built on restraint and longing, the kind where a glance does all the work? Would it be a romance that takes its time, uncomplicated by clever tricks? The professional stakes were obvious. So were the personal ones. To share scenes again would be to invite the past into the present, and talent aside, that's a risk. But that's also what great acting is, risk transformed into art. The old clips resurfaced like a chorus. Viewers reminded each other why they fell for the pair in the first place. It wasn't only chemistry, though there was plenty of that. It was the gentleness in the way they let each other breathe on camera, the way a pause between them could carry a full paragraph of feeling. People used to say they created stories with nothing more than eye contact. That kind of myth doesn't build itself. It's earned. Meanwhile, the sentence that started it all refused to be forgotten. I want Ozan to be in my life again. The phrase is being repeated across screens, in cafes, at midnight dinners after late shoots. Some say it's a flare of hope sent into the sky. Others call it a brave step into the unknown. Either way, the point isn't how it's labeled. The point is that it was said. The media's appetite has not lessened. But interestingly, much of the audience isn't hungry for scandal this time. They want resolution, not chaos. They want an ending that makes sense, even if it's not the one they've imagined. On social platforms, supportive messages sit beside cautionary ones. They deserve another try, one user wrote. If they can't rebuild, they can at least say goodbye properly, said another. It's as if everyone agrees that love stories aren't disposable, even when they pause. Inside Sinem's circle, there's a feeling of relief. Some say this moment has been years in the making. You can only keep a truth quiet for so long before it insists on air. Someone very close to her explained it beautifully: she's been pushing her feelings down, promising herself she'd deal with them when the schedule calmed. But the schedule never calms. She realized she had to make room for her heart right now. Another friend put a softer point on it: she woke up one day and knew the silence was heavier than the risk. On set, the ripple is unmistakable. People notice she seems calmer since saying what she needed to say, even if the outcome remains a mystery. The energy around her hasn't dimmed, it has clarified. She smiles differently in the makeup chair. She lingers in conversations. She's present in a way that feels anchored. Admitting the truth, it turns out, can steady a person even before anything changes. And Ozan? His camp is careful, as always. No one is playing for headlines. Those who know him describe him as deliberate, thoughtful, protective of his inner life. He doesn't do impulsive statements, not about work and certainly not about the heart. That makes the weight harder for the outside world and perhaps gentler for the people actually living it. If he speaks, it won't be noise. It will be because he has something to say. The possibility of that private meeting still hovers. The places it might happen have become part of the game. A quiet cafe on a tucked-away street, the corner of a seaside path, a room at a mutual friend's apartment where no one has their phones out. If it happens, there will be no paparazzi shots, no smug captions. There will be eye contact and history and two people trying to hear each other over the echo of their own memories. Professionally, a joint project would be seismic. The pitch meetings would write themselves. Audiences would lean forward. Critics would sharpen their pens, hoping to measure what can't really be measured. But the greatest stakes aren't on a call sheet, they're in the private promises two people make. Can they trust the ground beneath them? Can they stand in the same light again without flinching? Those questions don't get answered by ratings. Still, fans can't help but dream. They remember that both actors carry a kind of gravity that anchors whatever world is built around them. Hospital corridors where empathy is a lifeline, dangerous nights where loyalty is currency, scenes where silence shouts. Imagining those worlds colliding again has become a pastime, a comfort, a wish. Tonight, the sentence continues to hum through the city. I want Ozan to be in my life again. Is it a compass pointing home or a final letter finally sent? Maybe it's both. Maybe the courage to say it was the first step neither of them could take until now. The tabloids won't stop watching, that's certain. Every new move, real or invented, will be dissected. But behind the noise, the real story is happening in the most ordinary way, two very human hearts counting the cost of a second try. Whether this becomes a grand reunion or a gentle closing of a door, there's already something valuable in what has occurred. Sinem has let people see the part of her that rarely gets written into scripts, the part that admits longing without apology. Viewers who adore her work can now connect not only with the characters she plays, but with the woman herself. That makes the bond between star and audience stronger, not weaker. It turns admiration into trust. Sources close to both insist that, one way or another, an answer is coming. If the project rumor is true, we may learn it on a premiere stage, underneath camera flashes and 1,000 questions. If the meeting rumor is true, the answer might arrive quietly, at a time of day when the sun sets without anyone noticing. One path is noisy, one is soft. Either can change everything. For now, we wait. We watch the feeds. We watch the faces. We listen to the pauses between interviews. We let the possibility breathe its own air. Maybe the story writes itself before our eyes. Maybe it takes its time. Maybe this is the kind of love that needed distance to understand its own shape. But what is certain is this: Sinem is not hiding. She has stepped out from behind the curtain of polite non-answers and given her truth a voice. People will interpret it in 100 different ways, and that's fine. What matters is that she has traded the weight of silence for the risk of being known. In a business built on scripted moments, that is as real as it gets. If you've followed them from their earliest interviews to the projects that defined their careers, you already know how rare this moment is. It's not just publicity. It's not just nostalgia. It's the ache of something unfinished asking to be completed, or blessed and released. Either is a kind of peace. And so we end where we began, with a single sentence that has moved through living rooms and makeup trailers and edit bays: she wants him back in her life. Those words belong to her, but we all recognize them because we've all, in some way, wanted to reclaim a piece of our own past. Whether Sinem and Ozan turn toward each other or offer a final nod from a respectful distance, they've already given us a story about courage. About speaking up when it's easier not to. About choosing to walk toward a truth you can no longer outrun. We'll keep following every development, every quiet shift, every official word and every meaningful silence. If a new project appears, you'll hear about it here first. If that private meeting turns into a new beginning, you'll feel it in the way the city talks. And if all that comes of this is clarity, then that, too, is a kind of ending that deserves to be honored. This is Turkish series Stars. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you subscribe and share the video so others can join the conversation. Until the next update, take care and stay tuned.